Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday morning Mind the Moments gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. And this is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I am delighted to be here with Greg Topakian, mindfulness instructor and longtime meditator. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Suzanne. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And nice to have everyone joining us this morning. Today, we'll start off with a question as we usually do. And then Greg will lead us in a guided practice and share some thoughts with us. And afterwards, we'll have a chance for questions and answers. If you would like to go to the bottom of your screen and click on the chat. If you have any initial questions, you're welcome to type those in now. Otherwise, if you're interested in seeing the questions and comments as they come in real time, just click on panelists and attendees, and that will enable you to see all the comments coming in. So there we are. And Greg, what question do you have this morning for our group?
Yeah, well, first, just let me say it's nice to be here. Nice to have this chance to practice mindfulness with you all. And I always appreciate the opportunity to experiment with how mindfulness can help us live our lives. So the question for today is, let's suppose, each of us is sitting quietly and we're beginning to establish some settling of the mind, and suddenly a troubling thought arises in the mind. A memory of an email or a worry about a later phone call later today. And before you know it, the mind is off to the races, lost in thought, so to speak. Hijacked is often the word that's used. And so the question is, what do you do to help yourself work with that, to put a little space around the thought, to help bring you back to the present moment? And our work today will address that question as well.
So type into the chat if anyone has any experience with that. Let us know how that works in your practice. And someone says, write it down and deal with it later.
Yes, yeah, sure. Very good.
Someone else, same thing. I imagine writing it down with a pen and paper in her imagination. We'll do that later, and it helps me move on and let go.
Beautiful.
Recognize it and try to get back to practice.
Yep.
Yeah, I at times, I like this idea of setting it aside. At times I picture myself putting it on a shelf, getting back to it at another time after I'm practicing.
Yeah, and what's often also suggested is giving ourselves then a certain amount of time to think about it, and maybe no more than that. At what point does contemplating and planning turn into obsession and rumination, right? So all little things we can do to help ourselves. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. And then we'll do a couple of practices. What's often called the first foundation of mindfulness, the first establishment of mindfulness, is the body. And we start by directing attention to our breathing, and then paying attention to the postures in which we hold our body: sitting posture, standing, walking, lying down, attending to sensations in the body as we hold those postures. We pay attention to, many of us have done the body scan, scanning various parts of the body. We pay attention to the 5 physical senses: sight, smell, taste, hearing, touch. And our aspiration while we're practicing mindfulness is to experience the body, experience the five senses as clearly as possible, seeing the sensations arise and pass away, coming and going, without clinging to them or resisting to them, without fighting them, but simply being open to whatever the body is presenting to us in that moment. And the suggestion is by so doing, we're more able to choose more appropriately and more consciously what would be most effective in that moment. So that's the five physical senses. Now, in the mindfulness world, the mind is considered the sixth sense, and the sensations that come up there, mental sensations, are things like thoughts, memories, worries, plans, planning. So these are considered sensations of the mind. And our aspiration is to engage with mental sensations in the same way that we do physical sensations. In other words, to see them as coming and going, arising and passing away, to see them clearly, not to believe they're me. For example, with sound, right? If we hear sound, we don't think the sound is me. If a motorcycle is driving past, it's just sound that's arising. But with thoughts, it's a little trickier, isn't it? We tend to think the thoughts, well, that's the real me. We tend to believe the thoughts are true. And one might ask, well, what's the matter with that? Well, the matter with that is that, you know what? The thoughts aren't always true, are they? And if we don't have any space around the thoughts, we believe they're true, we believe they're me, and we tend to feel compelled to obey them, to actually do what our thoughts are telling us to do in that moment. Why does it matter? It also matters because when we're lost in thought, when we're on automatic pilot, and something happens to us to trigger us in some way, if we're not awake, then we tend to turn to old habits, old unconscious habits, many of which maybe they worked for us in the past, but aren't the best way for us to behave in the present as adults in the world. So what's our hope here? What do we want to achieve? We want to begin to cultivate a relationship to thoughts that are similar to our relationship to sensations of the five senses, that they come and go, they're not me, and can I simply observe them without fighting them, believing them, feeling compelled by them, resisting them, but simply noticing that they're present, pausing, and then choosing what the most appropriate and helpful way would be to respond. So let's start with a practice. And first, I'm going to invite you to find a comfortable position for yourself. Bringing attention to the body, the first foundation of mindfulness. Noticing whatever sensations are in the body as you're sitting. Making adjustments to posture to try to find that sweet spot between relaxation and effort. How can I hold this body to support relaxation? which will then help to support the mind to settle. And maybe we roll the shoulders a little bit, forward and back. We'll let the head bob forward and back, left and right. Again, if there's any pain in those areas, to be gentle. This is not about working through pain, but it is about noticing sensations in the body, because those sensations are happening now. And by noticing, we're bringing mind and body together. And perhaps the spine is relatively straight, the crown of the head flat or maybe tilted forward a little bit. Eyes are closed if you're comfortable with that. Breathing into the upper torso of the body, chest and lungs, belly, abdomen. Feeling your hands resting on your lap. Perhaps the palms are touching. Or maybe your arms are just resting idly by your side, letting them dangle. Feeling the sensation of the contact of your buttocks on the seat of the chair. And of your feet flat on the floor. A posture of simple dignity. A posture that says to each one of us, in this moment, I'm awake. So let's take the next couple of minutes to just settle in, bringing attention to present moment sensations, to breathing. Finding a place for your attention to settle, to focus. Some place that feels safe, comforting. We're not so much thinking as we are just feeling, experiencing the moment, and bringing our attention to those experiences, to those sensations, and just feeling them, knowing them. If the mind wanders and we notice, we simply smile. Ah, yes, there's the mind wandering. And simply choose to bring it back. To begin again. And now I'd like us to turn our attention to this way of working with thoughts, which helps us to create this habit of allowing the thoughts to be there, to seeing them as temporary and impermanent, simply coming and going. And so I'll invite you to first off envision your mind as the big blue sky, spacious. And in this metaphor, to see our thoughts as they come and go in the mind as clouds that arise and pass away in this big blue sky. First, we're going to start with a pleasant thought, then move to a neutral thought, and then to a more challenging thought. And then I'll let you engage with it on your own for a minute or two. So let's start with a pleasant thought. Gosh, those flowers are so beautiful. So we're envisioning the mind as the big blue sky. Thought arising. Gosh, those flowers are so beautiful. Cloud arising. Cloud presenting itself at the midpoint of the sky, right above us. Thought presenting itself. Flowers are so beautiful. Thought passing away. Cloud passing away. Flowers are so beautiful. Thought arising, cloud arising. Thought presenting itself, cloud presenting itself right above us. Thought passing away, cloud passing away. And now a neutral thought. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Thought arising, cloud arising. Thought presenting itself. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Cloud presenting itself. Thought passing away. Cloud passing away. Tomorrow is Wednesday. And now a more challenging thought, something like, I'm going to fail at that. Thought arising. Cloud arising. Thought presenting itself. I'm going to fail at that. Cloud presenting itself. Thought passing away. Cloud passing away. I'm going to fail at that. So in the next minute or two, experiment with pleasant thoughts, neutral thoughts, unpleasant thoughts. Experiment with engaging with them as clouds in the sky, coming and going. Not me in any permanent sense. And I'll count backwards from 3. And when I get to 1, I'll invite you to reopen your eyes and come back to the room. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you,
So
Greg.
what was happening in your mind?
How did folks engage with that experience? Welcome to share in the chat. Any questions or any comments? Someone shared that they experienced deeper breathing.
There's a slogan we often say, if we name it, we can tame it. So somehow visualizing our thoughts as temporary phenomena that come and go, naming thought arising, thought passing away, helps to put some space around it, helps us to not feel so compelled.
Someone asked the question, do we focus on breath to facilitate getting the cloud to pass?
Well, there's always, so you're saying suppose the thought still doesn't go away. So the thought arises, presents itself, passes away. And then there's maybe a pause. And if there's no thought, then we return attention back to breathing. But that thought might come back again, mightn't it, right? We're not, just because we see it once as arising, presenting, and passing away, so then we continue. We do it again. Thought arising, cloud arising, thought presenting, cloud presenting, thought passing away, cloud passing away. And maybe we have a moment without the thought, and then it returns again. You're always free just to bring it back to breath and keep it there if that thought is really barging into the mind and continuing to take over. And you're always free to change the channel of the mind, so to speak, and move to a kindness, compassion practice for yourself. And we'll actually close with one at the end today. So there's no need. People often think it's mindfulness to become obsessed with the thought, but that's just sort of having tunnel vision. There's no need to stay on a thought if you're getting worked up by it. It's often the wise and compassionate thing to move the attention to a safer place, a place that feels more comforting.
Someone commented that the nice thing was they didn't make it to the unpleasant thought.
Very nice. Okay. We have moments like that, a series of pleasant moments in a row.
And someone else mentioned the unpleasant thought cloud kept coming back until I said in my head, no, I want to see my nice thought.
Okay.
Redirection.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been around the block a little bit enough to know that unpleasant thoughts are going to arise sometimes. And so the question is, when that happens, how can we work with it to help ourselves? How can we work with the thoughts? Sometimes if we're not awake, that unpleasantness, an unpleasant thought has visited us, we can tend to get lost in it. We can tend to ruminate about it, brood about it, and before we know it, we're kind of spiraling down. So can we engage with it in a way that puts a little space around us, and in a way to give ourselves permission to turn attention away from the thought sometimes? I can come back to it later when I'm not as worked up. just adding more and more torment is not being a good mindfulness practitioner. I mean, ultimately, we do want to create space for the unpleasant things that happen to us, because they will happen. We want to learn to work with them, and to actually learn to become a little more comfortable with them. But if all we're doing is tormenting ourselves and punishing ourselves, that's not helping. So we have to say, I need a timeout. And where can I turn the mind to give me a little comfort in this moment?
I really like the connection between the thoughts and the senses, the five senses,
Yeah,
because sometimes we think of the thought as part of us,
right.
and our senses really are part of us, but they're always changing. So I think that
Yeah.
connection makes it seem like, okay, well, even though it's part of me or it's something that I engage in, it's not like it can't change.
Well, that is so important, Suzanne. Absolutely. Again, it sounds funny to say, but if we're sitting quietly and we hear a motorcycle sound, we don't think the sound is me, right? It's just a sound that, because of certain conditions out in the world, something happened and the sound came. And it's the same thing with thoughts. Thoughts are really just concoctions of the mind that are really products of recent events in our life, our mood at the moment, and deep habits that we have. And as recent events change, conditions around us change, as our moods change, you know what? The thoughts will change. Well, we know this intellectually, um, but for us to really um, uh, digest that fully when it's an unpleasant thought, no, it's just temporary. It reflects my mood. It reflects that, yeah, I just had a difficult conversation with somebody, or maybe my body hurts a little bit, so my thoughts are a little bit more pessimistic. It's just temporary.
Mm,
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't have to believe them totally. Maybe they're not the whole truth of me.
yeah, really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Greg,
No, no, yeah,
for engaging us in that practice.
my pleasure.
Yeah, and it seems like folks have really resonated with the practice of arising, presenting, and passing. So that's wonderful.
Good. Happy for that.
Yeah.
So if there's a moment to close on,
Sure. If
sure.
folks have to leave, please go ahead and do that.
Yep.
Otherwise, we will close together.
So again, I'll invite you to find a comfortable position for yourself. Check in with sensations of the body, making whatever adjustments you need to find that place of relaxation and alertness. And we'll close with this short self-compassion practice. For all of us ordinary human beings, living in this world with tremendous uncertainty and feeling all types of feelings, may we all be safe and protected. May all beings feel the love and support of the people who care for us. May we all learn to offer kindness and caring to ourselves in our times of need. And may we offer that same kindness and caring to the people around us in their times of need. And finally, may we appreciate this present moment of peace. So nice to have this moment to practice mindfulness with you. Be well, take care, find time to practice. It helps.
It sure does. Thank you so much, Greg. And thank you to everyone joining this morning. We'll see you again on Thursday at 8:30. Take care.
Bye-bye. Take care.